All right, global listeners, here we are again with our third presentation of the academic Bible, aka APA, Academic Integrity. Um, in our previous presentation, we talked about how to avoid plagiarism, the steps to take in order to avoid plagiarism. So we went through a couple of them, and we said in order to avoid plagiarism, you will have to paraphrase. You will also have to cite and reference. You will have to quote. You can also use what is called Grammarly. Also use what is called cross-reference. In our second presentation, we dive deep into paraphrasing. In this third presentation, we will be looking at a more detail about citation. So this is what we are going to learn today. In-text citations, we are going to look at why do we have to use in-text citation, why, and after that we will also look at when. After knowing the why, then we shall also understand when. It is not just by start at the point of writing your research you start citing. We have to follow the procedure and the steps, and then now we know when to cite. We don't just cite anyhow simply because we have to cite. We have to know why and when to cite. So one of the reasons why we have to use in-text citation is to cite the works of individuals whose ideas, theories, research, or assertions that directly influence your work. Okay, so if you are not, if you are doing your research and then it is not affected by somebody's idea, then you don't have to cite. But if it is affected by somebody else's theory or research or an assertion, then that is when you have to use in-text citation. You also have to cite to credit ideas of others that are used to develop your thesis. Okay, so if you are drawing somebody's concept, somebody's idea, somebody's assertions as part of your work, you have to give credit to where credit is deserved. Other than that, you are claiming ownership of the idea, which is illegal in the language of APA. The third reason why we use in-text citation is to provide documentation for facts and figures that are not common knowledge. Okay, so if your research is basing on previously collected figures or data, that is not a common knowledge, then you have to do what? You have to cite. Now, let's look at when do we have to cite, when to use in-text citation. You will have to use in-text citation when you are paraphrasing the idea or ideas of others. You also will have to use in-text citation when you directly quote the work of others. You also have to use in-text citation when you make reference to existing data. Okay, so if you are drawing your conclusion or drawing your making statement based on somebody's data or already existed data, then you have to cite. Also, when you are adapting a table, a figure, or a diagram for the purpose of your research, you have to cite. For example, maybe somebody's figure, somebody's table, or already existing diagram, but you do not need the whole figure or table or diagram to meet the purpose of your research. you can adapt it and then cite. So when you adapt, that is why you have to cite, because you are not the owner of the diagram or the figures. And then when you are citing, you have to indicate that this figure or table was adapted. Okay, you indicate the source, you indicate the author's name and the year or the date of publication, and you still have to indicate that this table or figure or diagram has been adapted, so that you'll be free of being a victim of plagiarism. That is where, when, and why we use in-text citations. Now, we have two types of citations, two main types. One is called narrative citation, and we also have parenthetical citation. Narrative citation and parenthetical citation. Let's take a deeper look at each of them. We are going to start at looking at parenthetical citation. What is a parenthetical citation? It is a citation where the author's last name and date of publication are put in parentheses, period. Okay? It's a citation where the author's name, last name, and date of publication are put in parentheses. Parenthetical citations are usually placed at the end of the sentence, statement, or paragraph. Again, parenthetical citations are usually placed at the end of the sentence, statement, or paragraph. We shall take an example here for you to better understand what we are saying. I have in front of me here a statement that was made by somebody, an author, and the date that statement was made. And I'm going to read that. It says, a social problem is a way of behavior that is regarded by a substantial part of a social order as being in violation of one or more generally accepted or approved norm. Nesbitt, 1971. Who made this statement? It was Nesbitt. When did he make that statement? 1971. So after this statement, you are using it, drawing this statement from Nesbitt, idea, or research to incorporate with your work. So you have to give credit to Nesbitt by bringing this citation. And the citation is at the end of the statement. So this is an example of a parenthetical citation where you have the name of the author and the date of publication all put in a parenthesis. I hope this is simple and clear. Now, let's take a look at a narrative citation. What is a narrative citation? Narrative citation is a citation where only the year of publication is put in parentheses. Only the year of publication is put in parentheses. Whereas the parenthetical one, both the author's name and year of publication are put in parentheses. The narrative one only puts the year of publication in parentheses, but not the author's name. Narrative citation is usually used to open a narrative statement, idea, or an assertion. Again, it is used to open a narrative statement, idea, or an assertion. Let's take another example here for you to better understand. Nesbitt, 1971, noted that alcoholism is both functional and dysfunctional social factor in that, on one hand, relieves pain, tension, and worry, providing a pleasurable moment of warmth, well-being, and relaxation. But, on the other hand, comes with irreparable consequences through addiction. Okay? Now, who said this? Nesbitt. When did he say that? 1971. I didn't say it. he said what? He noted that alcoholism is both functional and dysfunctional social factor in that it on one hand relieves pain, tension, and worry, providing a pleasurable moment of warmth, well-being, and relaxation. But on the other hand, comes with irreparable consequences through addiction. Okay, so this statement was made by Nasbet and is being paraphrased here. So his name and the year of publication have been used to open the sentence. It is not at the end of the sentence or paragraph like the parenthetical one. So these are the difference. The question is, you need to know both parenthetical and narrative. You are not compelled to use one of them or both, but you as a researcher should know when you want to use. You are not pinned down to use them in a certain order. So if you feel that you want to open your sentence with a narrative citation, you are allowed to do that. If you don't want and you want to give your story and at the end you cite using the parenthetical citation, is up to you. So all you need to know is the difference between the narrative citation and the parenthetical citation. Any question? Okay. We are going to look at citing the work of multiple authors. Okay. There are instances where there are collaborative research work involving two or more authors. Okay. So if two or more people, come together to collaborate to participate in a research, how do you cite them? I have an example here using June and May as two authors. So for example, June and May 2021 explain that for narrative citation, or I can also use June and May 2021 in a parenthetical citation. Okay, so this is how you cite using two or more authors. Let's further look at citing three or more authors in a text. So there will be can be a situation where you have more than two people writing a paper, doing a research. You can have three, you can have four, you can have more. So what do? According to APA, to avoid repetition of chains of names in the body of text, APA allows researchers to cut corners by using an acceptable abbreviation called ETAL to cite three or more authors. The word ETAL is a Latin word meaning and others. Meaning and others. So if you are citing more than three authors, then you have to use ETAL. Now, let's see how we are going to how ETAL is being pronounced when you see it in any research referring to or citing more than three authors. How do you pronounce it? Let's look at it.
Like empires, prices rise and fall.
We are looking at how to pronounce this abbreviation used in academic citations and papers when referring to a source with multiple authors. It comes from Latin and is short for the Latin term et alia. How do you say it? Et al. Et al. For et alia. Et al. Pretty straightforward once you know et al. And now you know. Here are more videos on how to pronounce more interesting phrases and expressions from Latin commonly used in English whose pronunciations aren't always obvious. I'll see you there to learn more. Thanks for watching.
All right, that was very interesting. Thanks for watching. So, how do you pronounce ETAL in APA research? It is pronounced as et alia. Et alia. Thank you, teaching assistant. That was my teaching assistant. Good job. All right. Now, we are going to look at example of 4 authors coming together to do a research compilation. And if you are going to cite the 4 of them, for example, the 4 authors with their last names here are Rodrigo, Abraham, Lusardi, and Mohammed. 2024 stated that in their first appearance in the text. Okay, so these are 4 authors that came together to conduct a research in 2024. So when we are citing them in the first instance, the first time, if their names are appearing, you have to write all of them, all their last names out. You don't leave any author's name. It can be 5 in the first appearance in the text. But in subsequent appearance of the text, you don't have to repeat Abraham, Rodrigo, Lusare, and Mohammed again. So in subsequent paragraphs, now what you need to do is just spell out the last name of the first author, and then you use your et alia. Okay, so et alia means and others. Rodrigo et alia, that means Rodrigo and others. 2024 stated that in a subsequent text or paragraph. Now, the reader who wants maybe just caught this in the middle of the passage, and then he wants to know who are the et alia, who are the others, then he will have to go back to the previous paragraph to learn of the other authors. So if he goes back to the first appearance, he would realize that, oh, the other participating researchers include Rodrigo, Abraham, Lusari, and Mohammed. Oh, okay, so Abraham, Lusari, and Mohammed participated with Rodrigo. Okay, now he or she has satisfied their curiosity. So now they know who are the et al. Okay, so but don't just start with a statement with et al. It doesn't make sense. Et al means others. So any curious researcher or reader would like to know who are the others, who are the et al. So by principle, you have to first spell out all the names of the authors, and then in subsequent paragraph, you can now use the first author's name plus your et al. I hope this is quite clear. Now, let us note the difference between et al, et alia, and then intalia. Et alia and intalia. Whereas et alia means and others. Intalia means among other things. Okay, I'm not teaching English language, but so far as research work is concerned, we need to note the difference. Et alia means and others, and intalia means among other things. Sometimes I often hear people misplace them, especially if they are naming people in seriation. For example, I often hear people say intalia, akwa aje, opoko Nuama, Mohammed Seidu, Ameka, Boabeng, and so on. Interlier is used for among other things, and et alia is used for others. So if you are listing researchers, names of authors, you use the et alia versus the interlier. So note the difference. So interlier is meant for among other things. You don't want to count human beings as other things, and others means other authors. Hope this is clear again. Now, what not to do in the body of a text. Okay, if you are writing and then you are citing, what you are not supposed to do is to include the initials of the author in the body of your work, whether in a narrative or parenthetical citations. Do not include the author's initials. But when it comes to the reference list, that is where you have to add their initials. So this is a common mistake by students. I've been teaching over 10 years now, and that is what I often see from students. When they are citing, they cite with author's initial in the body of the text. Sometimes it's annoying, but you can understand it's from the students' perspective that some of them just copy from the reference list and then put them in the middle of their work, thinking that later on they will edit and remove the initials, and because of pressure or something or some reason they forget and leave them there. Okay, so don't cite with initials in the middle of your text. So in text citation, you try to eliminate the initials of the authors, but in the reference list, the initials are needed. So note the difference. The concepts of self-plagiarism and contract cheating. This topic will be treated in our next presentation. We will be looking at self-plagiarism and then what is called contract cheating. But before we go, let us test our listening skills. Knowledge check. Okay? In which of the following does not require the use of citations? Which of the following does not require the use of citations? A. When paraphrasing someone's ideas. B. When making direct quotation of the work of others. C. When making a general statement of common knowledge. D. When paraphrasing your own prior work. Again, which of the following does not require the use of citations? When paraphrasing somebody's work, when making direct quotation of the work of others, when making a general statement of common knowledge, or when paraphrasing your own prior work. Okay, test your listening and understanding skills. All right, this is the end of today's lecture. I hope it was brief but very helpful and understandable. So what I will ask here is please like, subscribe, and share. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in the next presentation. Bye-bye.